easy. I never thought you'd be the one. I never meant to take your heart. I never felt so hard. I never meant to be the one. I never thought I'd break your heart. To the stars, I crumbled to dust. We still feel the flames burning in us, burning in us. It hurts so bad, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong.
Hello, lords and ladies and devilish vermin. This is your representative today for talking about a book that takes place at a Renaissance fair. We are talking about Well Met by Jen Deluca, and I already apologize for my terrible accent, which I'm going to go ahead and get rid of because honestly, I can't do this video in a full accent. Huzzah! So, this is Well Met by Jen Deluca. This book was another book that I read recently. This was released last year. Let's see, it says. This was released August of last year, and I just now got around to reading it. And this was another book that I absolutely, positively adored. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this. This is going to be a spoiler-free review because I want you guys to be able to enjoy this as well, but I also want to tell you guys a little bit about my opinion on this because I just felt like it was very important, to kind of express everything that I had to say about this because it was just such a fabulous read. And it was just so much fun. This isn't necessarily a hate to love trope necessarily, but it kind of had a great dynamic that I don't normally see in most romances. You have Emily, who is actually moving into this small town to help out her sister who had gotten into a bad car wreck, and so Emily's taking care of her niece. This is during the summer, and Emily's sister can't really do anything for herself. So Emily takes her niece to this get-together for the Renaissance Fair. Emily's niece is going to be volunteering, one of the people who are going to be participating and helping out with this year's Ren Fair, which usually goes during the summer months in this small town. When they get there, Emily is met with this very stern person Simon, who is in charge of coordinating everything. And they don't really like each other. They don't really get along. To Emily, he's very standoffish. He doesn't really have a good way about him, to her. So in the scheme of everything, Emily had just gotten out of a really, really bad relationship. She got burned pretty badly by her ex, who was a law student, and she was trying to work and support them and help them through, and she got really kind of royally screwed with the situation, and she got very hurt in all of this, and it got pretty ugly, and it became pretty heartfelt and very upsetting, for the situation. But as time goes on, her and Simon, she kind of has to work with Simon because in order for Emily's niece to volunteer, they need an adult to kind of chaperone the volunteership because Emily's niece is underage. So Emily gets forced into kind of having to volunteer herself, and she ends up volunteering to be a bar wench because she's had previous experience in the bar. And as time goes on, her and Simon, they just really don't get along. They don't, necessarily positively hate each other. Simon is this English teacher. He's very, well-read, very, well-educated. And she feels that maybe he looks down on her because she didn't complete her degree. It's just a lot of, little dynamics, a lot of, internal complexities kind of going on with this. What I kind of really liked about, this, though, this is another book, that really kind of shows, the insecurities of both of the main characters. And I really love that. And I really love how these characters became more than just one-dimensional characters. They had hearts, and they had a history of pain, and they had, histories in general, that kind of contributed to who they were now. The dynamic that I loved about this book that was so different from everything else was how they didn't get along when they were themselves, Emily and Simon. But when they were dressed in their Renaissance gear, it was they had this little bit of a romance thing going on between them. It was the first day, Simon was a pirate and Emily was the bar wench, and they went to this hand fasting ceremony where they kind of got married in character, and they kind of turned it in this whole storyline that kind of went through all of the weeks that the Renaissance Fair was going on. And they kind of made it almost a little bit of a public spectacle. So it was just so much fun because it wasn't just them having a romance in private. It was also them kind of having a romance play acting too. It was so much fun. It was so different, and usually like in small town aspects, like, you know, this small towns can be kind of like good or bad, but this small town like that they had everything staged in was just wonderful. And I really loved it because Emily ended up meeting some really great friends that were girls that she got a lot of social support from. Her and her sister, who were very much estranged for like the longest time, like they kind of start to build back a relationship. There's a significant age difference between Emily and her older sister, who she's helping this summer. What I really love too is like you don't see a lot of romances either in Renaissance fairs, and I loved that. Like this was just so much fun. I am actually a huge fan of the Renaissance fair. I try to go once a year. Try to. So this isn't always possible, but I love the dynamics of the Renaissance fair and the play acting and how you feel like you're really like just in the middle of like a medieval times situation with jousting and archery and everything else. And like, so all the dynamics and everything that got put into this was just a lot of fun, and I cannot gush about this book enough. I just feel like this book had so many like really unique things about it, and I love how the characters like were just so well drawn out, and I love the development of Emily and Simon's relationship outside of the Renaissance fair as well, that you got to see like them kind of, you know, like growing towards each other too, which I also just really, really love. It wasn't like a hate to love trope romance, but it was done in such a way that there was still quite a bit of angst and still quite a bit of hate, but it was a believable scenario, like to where they didn't hate each other so much. It was more like they just kind of misunderstood who the other person was, and the more they found out about each other, the more they kind of realized like that they actually aren't hating on each other as much as like they thought they could. So I really liked that as well. I don't know, this is just such a fun book. This is another like one I ended up giving a 5 out of 5 stars to. I read this in a day. I really binged this. It was just a lot of fun, and it was so cute. And I know like a lot of people that have read this book, and pretty much I haven't really heard like anything negative about this, and it was just a lot of fun. And you also have like a little bit like of dynamic too. You have Mitch, who is this guy, like he's very muscular, and he's completely the opposite of Simon, and he is like this big muscular guy, and you think like this is the cliche guy like that most girls would go for, because like they like the muscles and, you know, all the bronze instead of the brains. And I feel like that kind of added like a little bit to the dimensions of like this, because not that people who are muscular don't have depth, but Mitch kind of like was the cliche a little bit, like, you know, muscle guy. Like he had depth, like he was still a good guy, but I don't feel like he had the same kind of depth as Simon did. And it was kind of funny too, because like as contrast, when Emily goes like there, because like she's been burned so much, she's looking for a guy like Mitch, and she ends up gravitating towards a guy like Simon. Mitch isn't like really into long-term relationships. He doesn't want anything serious. He's just in like there to have fun. And that's who Emily thought she was at the beginning of the book, but I'm not going to say more than that, because I don't like really like want to like spoil everything for you, like with everything that goes on. But it was just, this is just so worth it, and I really hope you guys check this out. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Kira. I'm the Bookbella, and all my links are linked in the description below. I hope to talk to you guys soon, and I'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful day, and have a wonderful and happy Valentine's Day.